Hello there. Today on Bachelor on a Budget, I got something very special. I came up with this last week and it is awesome. We are making vegan ground beef. So this is a plant-based ground beef and it's got a similar texture, similar flavor. It's a complete protein and it's actually quite simple, probably the simplest. I actually checked if anyone else had done a vegan ground beef kind of recipe, and of course everything on YouTube's been done before, but this is totally unique kind of version and it's very simple. So I'm really excited to share this with you, and it goes so well in like tacos. My favorite thing is just to fry it up with like some veggies. I've even done it with frozen veggies, but it is so delicious. So let's dive into it. You're gonna love this one and it's actually really quite delicious. So let's get started. Okay, so we have some black rice, and this actually turns purple, but we're just gonna use this, and it's kind of rice that still has their husks, and these have like antioxidants and the color that turns food like yams, like purple, so when you have purple vegetables. So similar kind of thing. You can use brown rice, but I like to use black rice. So 1 cup, and we will rinse that. And give that a drain. Give that another quick rinse. And we're gonna try and leave about 4 cups of water in there. You can always dump all of it out and measure it, but I'm going about that much, I'm assuming. Okay, so I dumped out all the water just to see how much I got, and it was actually only 3 cups, and look, it's purple. So I added another cup here, so you can do the same to kind of test it out. But look at that purple water. And that's fine to use, totally kosher. Oh, and we're doing 4 cups of water here because we have 1 cup of quinoa and 1 cup of rice. So 2 cups per, so you can always double the recipe up. Add back the water now. And we're gonna go in with 1 tablespoon of salt. Give that a mix. And we wanna bring this to a boil. So this might not be readily available for you, but it does add a huge difference. I'm not gonna put it in this recipe, but if you can get it, I do recommend you utilize it. It's either mushroom seasoning, so this is a mushroom extract. It says it's a substitute for MSG, and it provides a very rich, savory flavor, that umami flavor that all meat has. And so we wanna use that to make that rice and quinoa and the beans tastes very savory, and this helps do that. You can probably find this at the Asian grocery store. I wish you could find this everywhere. Maybe I need to create a product that gets this into local grocery stores, but this stuff is the jam. This is what it looks like, these tiny little granules. And a little easier to find, but if it's your first time here, you might be a bit skeptical, is MSG. I've talked about this in quite a few videos, but there is some pretty pervasive myths around MSG, but it is actually completely harmless. This is just a very simple chemical, which is glutamate, which is a natural amino acid, and so this gives a very savory flavor. So like a teaspoon of this will add a very rich flavor. But if you're still skeptical, watch my video on MSG or do your own research, but use credible sources. Hate misinformation. For mine, I'm gonna go and add some, because it is good. But yeah, if you don't have it, don't let it prevent you from making the dish. Whatever you're making your full ground beef with, whatever you make, like say you make tacos, you can also add more savory ingredients like mushrooms. Okay, this has reached a boil, so adding in our quinoa. And that's only been going for about 7 minutes. So as soon as it reaches a boil, and then we can lower the heat down to a simmer. And we're gonna let that simmer till all the water is pretty much evaporated. That should be about 15-20 minutes, probably closer to 20, but we'll see. Give that a stir every once in a while. You can see it's already thickening up here. Okay, that is nearly evaporated. And then I'm gonna add in a can of black beans. And the full recipe's in the description, so if you wanna see like size. But I've also used kidney beans for this, but black just goes with the kind of color. I realized my lighting was a bit off. That's a bit more accurate. So I have a tablespoon of cumin. So the spices just help to give it more of the flavor, and mostly I'm using ground beef for kind of Mexican kind of dishes or Tex-Mex. But you can try different spices, but I'm using a tablespoon of chili powder and a tablespoon of garlic powder. And I want this to get nice and sticky, so I almost have a little clumps, and it does as it cools down. But this is looking nice. Just make sure you don't burn it here. But we do want a bit more water evaporated so it does get into a bit more sticky texture. Make sure you didn't overspice or underspice. Ideally, underspicing is better than overspicing. Mine's actually pretty salty because I tend to use heaping tablespoons, but that's all right because then I just don't need to add as much salt in. I don't eat this plain, well, maybe a couple bites, and but when I'm adding it to stuff, then it's already kind of pre-salted. So just make sure you're not over-salting when you actually make the full dish of whatever you're making. But right now, it is sitting pretty. And that is done. Just making sure we're scraping everything. Starting to get some sticking at the bottom, so we're done. That's getting nice and sticky, but it'll get perfect when it cools down a bit. So I'll take that off the heat. And we are done. I transferred it to a pan just so it looks more like ground beef for photos, you know? But yeah, vegan ground beef. I am super excited about this. Hey, less cows dying, less water being used. You know, for 1 kilogram of beef, it requires 15,000 liters of water in terms of all the food it eats. And yeah, cows are just terrible for us and for the environment. And killing isn't good. So vegan ground beef, definitely give this a shot. Super simple, and boy, I'm pumped about this for adding in tacos and quesadillas, and yeah. Super savory, and again, it's a complete protein. Beans and rice normally together create a complete protein, but quinoa already is kind of. It has all the main amino acids, so this is good muscle building fuel right here. Seriously. And when do you eat ground beef by the spoon? So I have a couple different recipes that this would actually be really good in my vegetarian quesadillas. You could add some of that. Chili, you can add this to chili. I'd add it last because you don't necessarily want to keep wanting to slow cook these. And actually when I fry up veggies, I add this last. But yes, with some red peppers and onions and garlic or any type of bell peppers, and you add a bit more chili powder and cumin and paprika, it makes for an unreal kind of Tex-Mex bowl that you can just eat or dip in with chips. It's unreal. Thank you guys for watching. Check out some more videos here. If it's your first time watching, please hit that subscribe button, but I very much appreciate your support. And yeah, thanks guys.